Joining us now is Congressman Michael McCaul of Texas. He's Chairman Emeritus of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the former Chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. Great to have you here, Congressman. There are all sorts of illegal rulings around prisoners at Gitmo. The Supreme Court has ruled that they are all entitled to lawyers. So are we going to now see these gang members in Guantanamo lawyer up and fight deportation?
Well, I think they're under deportation orders. The Biden administration had prior removal orders on about 2 million very violent, dangerous criminals. Now, remember the gang members, the cartel members like the TDA, which are really the most violent ones that we've seen out of Venezuela, would fall under the Foreign Terrorist Organization designation. And therefore, that would justify their detention at Guantanamo, as we have released, or the prior administration released, a lot of the 9/11 terrorists, out of that facility. I think the key question here, Elizabeth, we need more detention space.
Yeah.
And you're going to see us appropriate those dollars in reconciliation. Guantanamo just happens to be a very isolated place on an island that has 30,000 detention beds, and we're taking full use of that, and we'll deport them back to Venezuela. The problem is, Venezuela's not going to take them back. So what are we going to do with these dangerous, violent criminals?
So they could stay there indefinitely?
No, I do believe there's a due process. The justice system will be there. I think we're going to have to deport them. We'll see how the president handles this. Venezuela is a very tricky one because Maduro, the dictator, who has facilitated these violent cartels, will probably say he doesn't want to take them back. And then we're going to have a standoff between the President of the United States and the dictator of Venezuela.
Yeah, I can't blame Maduro. I wouldn't want him back either. These guys are real thugs.
Nobody wants them.
Yeah, nobody. We certainly don't. I want to talk to you about the fact that Tom Homan was saying that in this raid today, somebody tipped members of Tren de Aragua off. He didn't say who. I'm not sure if he even knows who. But this happened on the same day that the Department of Justice sued the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago, as well as Cook County, accusing them all of impeding the roundup of illegal immigrants. What do you make of that lawsuit and this allegation that they're trying to stop in some way the rounding up of these migrants?
Yeah. Well, the federal government is charged with immigration laws, enforcement of immigration laws. They haven't been enforced under the Biden administration. I know Tom Homan very well. Look, the people he is targeting right now, it's not like the grandmother that's been in the country for 20 years. These are the most violent, dangerous felons who Mayorkas let into the country, I would argue, illegally in violation of federal law, which says they shall be detained. He refused to detain them, and now there are prior removal orders from the previous administration, Biden, that Tom Homan's going after. But if anybody, I was a federal prosecutor, worked with ICE, anybody tips off, violent cartel members prior to an ICE raid are complicit, I think, with those cartel members. You can make an argument that's a criminal complicity, but the fact is, I think as Tom said, it's not a game we're playing. Yeah. We're trying to get these dangerous network that's in the United States out of here. And there was a mandate, Elizabeth, by the American people in this election. This is what they want to see.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.